G'day, ladies and gents. Welcome to another episode of the Destroy the Stumps podcast. Today we've got my mate Aaron, who's an amateur boxer. He started his boxing journey a couple of years ago, and he made his debut earlier this year. I've got the recording of that fight as well, just some brief highlights as well. Do check that out. I think that was released around early Feb or late March, or March, around that time. So do check that out on the YouTube channel, Destroy the Stumps 35 YouTube. Do like, comment, share, and subscribe. And also check out our Instagram page as well, Destroy the Stumps 35, and give us a follow there. But yeah, ladies and gents, got my mate Aaron. Aaron, thanks for joining me on the show, mate. Lovely to
Thanks for having me, mate. Good to be here. And life's feeling good. But yeah, how are you?
I'm alive, bro. And because of this guy, I got into martial arts now. Wasn't into it before, but like now because of this guy, his boxing journey, and like he just got in my ear a bit last year, and then I just started boxing, and I've noticed the difference. Lost a lot of weight, feel better. Almost cut drinking out of my life as well, and the boxing, so it's really made a difference.
Yeah, awesome.
And I can see why Aaron's now taking this as a career. It's just so addictive when you're boxing, like the rush and that, it's just different. But Aaron, just also like with that boxing career, so you mentioned we were having a chat a while ago, you didn't start boxing like until like a bit late, like a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
is that true?
Definitely. I started boxing when I was 21, 22, and man, it's just something that I did not know I would have an interest in. I thought to myself, like why the hell now? Like, why the hell would I pick this up like when I'm a bit older? Like, why didn't I pick this up when I was a bit younger, maybe 8 to 9 years old? But I loved it. I liked the fitness aspect, the self-defense, and now I'm here, and now I'm competing, and now I'm getting there. So yeah, it's been a great journey.
Yeah, I understand, man. And Aaron, when you were like a teenager, or like even just before you turned 21, did you ever even think of like, or did it ever cross your mind once that you'd be boxing, like even as like just as a, as a career? Did you ever think of it?
Not really. I was more into playing games, like video games and all that. I never saw myself as a competitive, like guy. Never did any type of sport. I just wanted to, back then I wasn't even seen as a fighter type personality. I was just, I was just quiet. I was friendly, but I was never seen as someone who would hit another person. So yeah, it's a weird one, Well, during my teenage years, I would, if I was getting picked on, I never even fought back. So, like, I don't know what happened. Like, just all of a sudden, suddenly started to pick up fighting, and just fell in love with it. So, yeah, interesting turn of events.
I know. Aaron, also just with the boxing, like when you started it, who got you into the boxing, like as a career? Like how did it all begin? Which gym did you like begin at, and like how did it all come about?
Yeah, I was watching this TV series called Daredevil, and man, that show just blew me away with all the martial arts, all the fancy stuff. I was like, wow, this guy is so practical in his martial arts that he could effectively show it, not just on TV, but how to take guys down. So I thought to myself, well, maybe if I could learn a few self-defense techniques, then maybe I can start becoming like him too. So yeah, I went to Marrickville Zeus Academy, started learning kickboxing, and yeah, I just love punching and kicking. Then I went to Svas Judo, where I tried to learn grappling, judo, and I thought, wow, I've got kicking and judo, but I need to improve my hands a bit more. So got into boxing at Stand Strong Boxing, and man, that just changed my whole perspective of fighting. like there's a different level to boxers and just pure self-defense. And man, like I was watching all these videos on YouTube and watching all the great fighters, how they all have one similar thing, and that similar thing that they have is just boxing. They're all good boxers in their own rights. Conor McGregor, Max Holloway, Volkanovski. You know, they've all got good boxing techniques or fundamentals. So yeah, so I decided to go, let's fix my hands a little bit more. Get those hands going.
Yeah, 100%, man. When you mentioned about Daredevil, it's interesting how like some movies or like fictional characters can influence people. Similar with me, like I got into archery this year, and then like fighting kind of like, also you got in my ear a bit as well last year. I mentioned it just a bit earlier that Aaron really got into my ear, like say, come on Neil, take up boxing. Like he just wouldn't stop, but it worked in the end, and thank him for that. But also, John Rambo, like Rambo, the one with Sylvester Stallone, the 80s movies, and like he had a movie in 2000, and I think just a couple of years ago as well, there was a Rambo movie, or The Expendables, I think it was. But Rambo, especially the 80s ones, and I think there was one in the 90s as well. That series got me into archery, and also got me into fighting. Like I just wanted to be a fighter, like not be a fighter, but like take up martial arts and learn it. Now I'm doing boxing, jiu-jitsu, did a bit of kickboxing, like one class of kickboxing, but that's it. And then I'm going to start kickboxing next month. But like, it's just interesting how like fictional characters have a bit of an influence on people. Like you said, like Daredevil, like you mentioned, for me, John Rambo. It's just so it's really interesting how like just watching a movie and then all of a sudden your mind just clicks, and next minute you're taking different sports up as a hobby.
Definitely, man. I see it all the time. Especially with fighters that I talk to. Some people have watched Dragon Ball Z and they just knew instantly, I want to become that guy. Or they watch Naruto or maybe Power Rangers, anything, any show that shows that you can be cool with fighting. I guess that just clicks for them, and just and which leads them to the next step, which is to start taking up martial arts. And yeah, just learning martial arts and self-defense in general. You can go to many different pathways. You can either be an enthusiast, you can be a fan, you can be just a guy who knows how to defend himself, like you said, or you can go like the route that I took, which is to compete actively. So yeah, man, I'm really glad that you found it. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad, man. You made a career out of this, man. Like, you're making a career, and you won your first fight as well. Yeah, we went to that. Speaking of that fight, me and a couple of mates that we're all close with Aaron, went to watch his first fight, and he absolutely smoked the guy. Didn't give him anything. The funny thing was, like, his fight was scheduled for like 8 o'clock or something. On a Friday night. Then it got shifted to 12 o'clock. We were a bit tired by then, but still, once Aaron's fight actually began, Aaron didn't really care about like the entrance. He just went in like a hustler, just went straight in. He didn't care. It was funny. Like he just went in like initially he didn't come out to the music. Then they had to announce Aaron's name again, and he just went out of nowhere and just rushed to the to the ring, and like we were just laughing. We're like, whoa, he's just focused. Didn't care about like posing or anything. Just got in there straight away. But yeah, us boys, we all went to support Aaron, his first fights, and that fight was some experience. So at St. Mary's, a place in Western Sydney, one of the I think pubs or clubs over there. I'm not too sure. I forgot what it was called. Do you remember what it was called?
Yeah. No, I don't actually know what it's called.
There you go. We just focused on fighting. We forget the shit that happens outside of it. Yeah. But like the fight was people there, quite a few drunk people like saying Benny, yeah mate, yeah, like those annoying cunts. That watching an amateur fight, like watching a boxing fight for the first time live, was a different experience. And with this type of fight, like when it's in the pub or the club setting, like amateur, you're a bit closer to the action compared to, like, let's say a big boxing fight with Tim Tszyu, or let's say Garcia or anything. Some fans are close to the action, but then the others aren't. We still felt like we were very close to the action, even though we were sitting a little bit far from the ring compared to some of the other spectators. Aaron had some good support from the guys with Soulbox. His family came over, and he just smoked the guy. Did not give the guy anything. The guy was just absolutely lost. And Aaron just absolutely sensational debut. And Aaron, just with that fight, before that fight, what was your preparation like, and what was your strategy, and just other stuff related to the fight? Well, what went on before the fight happened, like the lead up to the fight?
So basically before the fight, it was very annoying that I had to wait almost 4 or 5 hours. I was there at 5 o'clock, I think, for the weigh-ins, and man, so many stuff were going on. But I just told myself, just keep a tunnel vision, just focus on the fight. Don't worry about these are all small mental battles that you need to overcome. And man, my strategy for the fight was, just to give the guy no chance at all to win. Just to dominate the entire fight, make an impression on the judges, not to even give them the impression that the other guy is winning. So like there can be absolutely no doubt that I was winning. So yeah, man, that was my game plan. Just take the center, like Achilles said on the movie Troy. Immortality, take it, it's yours. So yeah, man, just went in there and everything happened in the flash. After that, it was one of my happiest feelings in the moment. And it didn't just stop there, it went on for a couple of days. That sort of feeling you get from winning. And man, what an experience. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I understand that, man. That's wow. And when they announced your name, like we knew you were gonna win, like the way you were fighting. Us boys in the back were all watching. But when they like announced your name, the win of the fight, Aaron lifted your hand. What was running through your mind, like the emotions and all that?
Oh man, I just thought, wow, now the work is over, and now we can relax a bit.
No way, they fucking delayed the fight. I was just like, what the hell are you guys doing?
Like I trained my ass off for this, and now, like it just felt like I don't know what to call it, but it's a feeling that is this real? Is this not real? Like now the work's finished. Like I was sort of still blank, like in my emotions. But until I got off the ring, then the happiness surged on. Now I know. So yeah, man.
Yeah, man. I totally get it, and it's just like a sense of relief. Like, oh, gee, it's over. Like I've actually done it.
That's the word I was looking for. Sense of relief. Now, oh my God, now everything's safe now.
Yeah, because you're probably like wondering, like, just about what you're saying as well, and what and when you were talking to us on the phone, like, oh, geez, I can't wait for this fight. Like, what's it going to be like? Like all the training and that in the world, and then on the actual fight day, you're like, oh, gee, it's actually happening.
Yeah.
And then you just like, when's it going to be? Then you're just eager to like get it over and done with.
Yeah.
And that's why you just rushed to the ring like you did. And that's a huge it's just like a big relief, and also like a big sense of satisfaction that, hey, you finally did it.
Yeah.
You finally got your first fight out of the way, and you won it like quite convincingly. It was just Also with the strategy, because I noticed like you did a lot of body shots to the guy. He was a bit taller than you.
Yeah.
And also like it was a strategy that I noticed when you were fighting. You really went for the body, then you went up, and like you just went on and on. Like you just did not give the guy any space at all. And you just kept going and going no matter what, and like throwing fast punches, more so than like heavy punches, just like quick combinations and that. especially targeting like the lower region, like the body region.
Yeah.
Because he's a taller guy, and then like he'd have to bend down a bit.
Yeah.
So was that like a planned thing, or you just thought of it in the moment?
Yeah, it was more of in the moment, because as soon as I went in, I took the center, and he didn't throw any punch. He just curled up so suddenly. So we were almost touching glove to glove. So I just went to his body. That was what was open at the time. So I just did that, kept hitting it. And yeah, it's just, I just saw it as it presented itself.
Yeah.
And yeah, and also I knew the fight was going to be 90 seconds long. So in 1 hour, 1 minute and 30. So I had to make the most
I like
out
the
of
rounds.
that, the rounds, yeah.
Yeah.
I had to make the most out of that time. So I had to keep throwing, kept throwing, like don't stop throwing. And yeah, it's all about just flurries and punches and showing to the judges that who is punching more, who is landing more. And the only way to do that is if you keep punching. Don't stop punching. So
And that, and also us, like the guys in the background, just yelling, "Go Aaron, knock him, put him in a body bag and stuff." It's the guy from Soulbox who said that. When he said that, I was laughing my head off. He said, "Put him in a body bag." Oh man,
it's yeah, it's an interesting one. Because I hear that all the time as well. If I'm in the background, if I'm watching someone else's fight, they always say that. It's really good, you know, like just put some mental sort of banter out there to the opponent.
yeah, it puts them off guard.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, man. And also, Aaron, just with that, like the boxing thing, so like when you started it, like for me, when I started, like I couldn't even skip. Now I can, like, I'm still crap at skipping, but like I can skip. There were things like when you started, you there were things that you couldn't do, but like then eventually did it. What things you couldn't do at the start, like when you started boxing, like skipping and stuff like that. But then now, like, you've got a good grasp over it. Like, what stuff did you struggle with initially, and like even through your boxing journey, like heading into that fight, even the years before, like what exercises did you struggle with, and what things did you like what obstacles did you have to deal with, and then how did you overcome them?
Man, I was so unfit before any fighting or any martial arts school that I went to. I couldn't even run. Like I can run for maybe even less than 20 seconds, and I would stop and gasp for air. And then I would run again, and then just run out of air for 10 seconds. And I couldn't believe it. I was like, how am I stopping every time that I'm running? So yeah, I mean, it took a while for me to learn how to properly run without stopping. That was the first obstacle. Like, Jesus Christ, like people run normally on a normal basis, but I couldn't for some reason. With skipping, I was very uncoordinated guy, so couldn't skip for shit. But then, yeah, everything I've learned in fitness, I just learned it from YouTube. So yeah, I just learned how to skip watching YouTube videos, where your hands should be, what's your rhythm supposed to be, your feet, light on your feet, bouncing on your toes. So yeah, man, I had to learn all these things, even though when I was about 15, 16, like I know how to do push-ups and sit-ups, but even then, like I thought that was all there is to it. But there's actually a lot more to fitness. Now there's, you know, calisthenics, there's lifting, proper technique of, you know, like using machines, squats, like proper way of squatting. So yeah, there's a lot of fitness obstacles that I had to overcome and get through in order to get to boxing.
Yeah, exactly. Also, just with the obstacles as well, like because we're cultural, like me and you, we relate. Like your Filipino background, like Filipino. got an Indian background, Asia, basically in the Asian continent.
Yeah.
Parents from that part of the world, most parents, not all of them, there's some pretty lenient parents as well.
Yeah.
But like culturally, like also like your dad and you said to me like your mum and dad weren't too, especially your dad wasn't too impressed when he found out that you were boxing. Yeah, how was that little interaction, and how did that kind of get settled over the years?
Yeah, so I was just this was very early on when I started doing self-defense at a martial arts school, and I was just shadow boxing at home, and I was just bouncing on my toes. My dad saw me in the kitchen bouncing on my toes, so he said to me, "Oh, so you want to be Pac-Man, like Pacquiao?" So, oh man, like and then I stopped shadow boxing when they're around, so they won't see me shadow boxing because they think it's weird, and I'm trying to become like Pacquiao. But yeah, man, like that went on for a number of years, and yeah, like every time I would even mention anything related to martial arts, self-defense, it would almost equate to violence to them, to my parents. So my parents never saw martial arts the same way as most people now do. I think it's got to do with they're not really informed during that time on what martial arts really teaches you, and like boxing in general, they think it's just fighting, hitting the head, getting concussed, or eventually having CTE or some sort of disease. But yeah, man, it's much more than that, and it's hard to explain to people who don't do martial arts or boxing. You'd really have to get into that environment, into that world
To understand
to
it.
understand it. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. When I did my boxing last year when I started, man, my dad was like really not happy. Mum was like, just leave him alone, let him do his thing. Mum stood up for me. Mum's just like, stop putting him down. He needs to learn. He's out of. You want him to be healthy, but then you're like, stop doing. You don't want him to do this. Like, you don't want him to do boxing, and
Yeah.
it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And she like, she stood up for me. And then dad eventually was happy when he saw the results. He was like, wow, you actually lost weight, and that's good, because he was concerned about my weight, but then he's also concerned like if I get injured with boxing. But yeah, dad now like dad's really happy with the progress I've made, and like you said, you're a lot more skinnier. You're much more like you lost your body fat a bit. Still got a lot of work to do, but similar thing with Indian parents, man. Like tell you off when they find out if you're doing martial arts, or if you get into some sort of fight or scuffle. Why are you getting into fights? Why did you get into an argument? Just leave them, let them go.
Yes, and a lot of that sort of mindset thinking is if you learn martial arts, that means you become a more violent person, even a deadlier person. But that's actually just a myth. Like now that we now know that people who do martial arts are actually one of the most chillest people in the world, and one of the most peaceful ones, in fact. Now people are more informed now, like they're starting to understand now the benefits of doing boxing, martial arts. And yeah, I think that's why my parents now are okay with it. So when I brought them to my first fight, wow, I did not expect them to arrive and be happy for me at the same time. What a relief that was too. And in fact, after the fight, when I got off the ring, they were the first people I started looking for among the crowd. And I thought, oh, where's my mom and my dad? I want to hug them. I did this fight to show it to them, and now they're convinced that I'm a fighter. So yeah.
Absolutely, man. It's a good feel. Like initially, it's always a bit rusty, but then eventually, it all works out, and then they're really happy after that for you. Yeah, exactly. Also with that, Aaron, also just before we do wrap up the episode, so just one thing, when's your next fight, and like what are your plans for the future, like with the fighting? Who's your next opponent, or like any news or anything about it?
Yeah, my next fight will be June 30th. I think will be in Bankstown. And yeah, it'll be an interesting one. No opponents yet, but look, any opponent I can get is opponent I will take. So yeah, I just bring it on.
Yeah, man, that's the attitude, the fighter spirit, man. I got to tell you. Anyways, ladies and gents, thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you, Aaron, for coming on. Appreciate it, bro. June 30th, I'll definitely be at Bankstown to watch Aaron's fight. And also we'll film it and then talk to Aaron after that fight. Bankstown, holy moly, that's going to be intense.
It's the central town for violence. It's the Vegas of Sydney for fighting. But
yeah, man. I don't want to laugh too much because, maybe someone's watching me. But anyways, now, ladies and gents, seriously, Bankstown's got some good food, though. Got to give them that.
Yeah.
Excuse me. But yeah, and they've got some good stuff down there. But Bankstown, Aaron's got a fight June 30th. We'll record it. If you are around New South Wales or anything, just check it out. Fill it up. The venue up and watch Aaron. Give some love to Aaron. And also, thank you very much for tuning in, ladies and gents. And do give us a like, share, subscribe, and comment on the video, on our other videos as well. Also, follow us on Instagram and follow us on Spotify for the podcast, the audio version, like Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcast, Amazon Music. There's multiple platforms we're available on, so do have a listen there. And without further ado, just going to wrap it up now. Thank you very much and have a lovely day. And Aaron, any last words?
Thanks, guys. And yeah, watch the fight and see some fireworks. Let's go.
Anyways, guys, thank you. God, I'm repeating myself. But anyways, that's that. That's a wrap. And we are out.